Welcome to the Rhythm and Remedy podcast.
The time has come to share your thoughts, relive your moments, open up your hearts with one and only Rhythm and Remedy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rhythm and Remedy podcast, where music meets medicine. And today we have back on the show Dr. Manpreet Bajwa. I know, well, first of all, I know we were going to plan to release every week to start off, but with everyone's schedules and the editing and everything else that goes into it, there's a lot of hard work being put in behind the scenes, and then obviously, my sister getting married this summer, it really was quite the ordeal to get through all the episodes, but at the same time, it's been really, really fun. So without further ado, let's welcome Mans to the show again. Mans, how's it going, brother?
Hey, good, man. Good to be back. And I think you've been doing a lot of great work, and big shout out to Owen and everybody that's involved in this project. And I'm looking forward to the big release. And we actually did a shout out at Ashika's wedding as a part of our speech, as a shameless plug. So I think we have a good group of people ready to subscribe. So
100%. And really grateful for all the support from everyone. And we've also added another teammate to the mix. Clement Chow is going to be helping with some edits as well, so really grateful that he's a part of it. This episode is going to be about, essentially the Indian diary. So my experience in India, our experience as a family as a whole, especially the trip of 2016, 2015 to 2016, where, I went through the reality show experience. I got to really get a firsthand experience of what the music industry looks like, but also how it helped me personally grow, during the long-term aspect of it. So
I think there's going to be a lot of good insights and takeaways from this episode. Let's get right into it. So first, tell me, Juggy, what kind of prompted you, or what kind of motivated you to kind of pursue a career in India, or actually move to India firstly, and what did that kind of look like when you first got there?
So, truth be told, my first option was to further my music education after Capilano University. So I was done at CapU in 2015. So I did my Western Classical Music diploma there. And my thought was that I was going to go to UBC and further my music education aspect of it, and really broaden my horizons that way through that music education, right? And long story short, I didn't end up getting into UBC. I was a part of a lot of talented people who auditioned, and there was actually a lot of really good talent that was left off the board for a variety of reasons. We will get into this sort of systemic part of the ableism aspect of it as well. I think there was maybe this lack of ability as well to work with someone who is also blind and probably needed more support.
And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I kind of vaguely remember that, and that was a big part of it too, right? Like they didn't have the infrastructure in place to kind of accommodate what it would look like to have you on as one of the program attendees, right? I think that was kind of another reason why you didn't pursue or have the opportunity to pursue that road.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a lot of really good advocates that are doing such a great job now of really trying to bridge that gap. So I'm super happy about that. But yeah, so anyways, I didn't get into UBC. And so there was quite the thought process of, okay, what am I going to do next? Where am I going to go? How is my career going to look like? And, you know, I had already done my Indian classical music degree. So for me, that was, you know, just another cool feather in the cap at the time. But I think what really prompted me to go was, you know, obviously my sister and my dad. My sister had time off from school. And my dad was like, you know, I think this is the best time to go. And I actually had the opportunity to perform for the Prime Minister of India and, you know, Prime Minister Stephen Harper at the time as well. So I think it just kind of catapulted me to this point where I had to really make a tough decision. And, you know, I was in the phase of being in, you know, like my very first relationship, you know, with someone. And that was like my very first love. So it was a very hard, you know, decision that I really thought about more emotionally than practically at the time. I mean, looking back in hindsight, I mean, it made sense that we went at the time we did. But, you know, I had to consider all those factors. But ultimately, I think what really influenced it too was that we had a couple of family members in India who, you know, had health problems. And, you know, unfortunately, the sad part of it was they weren't going to survive long term. And so I think we had to really make that calculation of, okay, like we should probably see them as well. And, you know, this should be the opportunity to explore, you know, career options for me, right?
And I guess just to kind of expand on that, when you, obviously the, you know, family members that were ill, it was obviously a tough time, but
yeah.
The fact that you guys did end up going and then you guys rented an apartment in Mumbai, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, near Juhu Beach, which is like part of Mumbai that's really famous. Yeah.
And then you didn't have any contacts or anything, right? So put it into context for some of our listeners, like you're going to India, to Mumbai, the heart of Bollywood, the heart of kind of like their LA. And what did that look like? So once you guys got there, like what did that entail?
Yeah, no, I think you really hit the nail on the head, right? We didn't have any contacts.
Yeah.
But you and I both know this. Like, Dad is a great businessman.
Right.
He knows how to
network,
get those contacts, how to network, how to put, you know, us in places to network with people. So when we got there, there was a club right next to our building called the Renaissance Club. Mm-hmm. So he was like, okay, so now that we're here, this is probably one of the places we should go and network with people. Met with certain people there. Our landlord actually was also a voiceover artist.
That's right, I remember.
Who's, you know, worked with Deepika Padukone and many, many famous actors and actresses, and you know, actually did the voiceover in films like Om Shanti Om. So very, very successful voiceover artist. You know, she had her own studio, and she knew that I was coming to pursue music. And I think one of the difficult things to hear from her was, well, firstly, she said, now that you're here, you can't go back, you know, right away. And I think for me, I loved the fact that I had a sanctuary where I could go and sit by the water. I could travel out here in Canada. Yeah. And I could have that freedom to do so. But in India, it was a bit different. Although it did change over time. I mean, it took me a while to really embrace sort of the different, you know, ways of being able to live as a person who's blind out there. But I did, you know, eventually make friends, and I did, you know, meet people throughout this journey, obviously, right? But
so how was it like in regards to how accessible was it for transportation? It wasn't, right? Like it was like, like you know, here I know Dad and Ashi and myself and Mom, we would like, you know, you used to travel when you were so young to go take the SkyTrain and the bus, and you know, I know we followed you a couple of times and you did great. Like you were so independent. And, in India, we couldn't do that. I don't think any one of us would have been comfortable. Like we weren't comfortable ourselves walking, you know, crossing the street, let alone, you know, somebody that had the visual
you know what's
impairment. But
yeah, you know what's so crazy about that too, though? Sorry to cut you off, but I was just gonna say, like, I think over time Uber really got accessible for me to use. So I think that
so that kind of made it easier then, right? Because then, but did you take a lot of the rickshaws there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
I mean, yeah,
like never by yourself, right?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say like.
No, I don't know if I would trust myself in a rickshaw, but like just.
I don't think it's you have to worry about. I think it's the driver. I remember sitting in one and like we were like I could touch the bus like right beside us because they don't believe in like lanes there, right? So it's just kind of free for all when it comes to driving. But okay, so you had Uber to kind of help you get around, and then how did that kind of look in the sense of how did you approach the people in the music industry then?
Yeah, so coming back to the context side of things, Monaji actually was like, she was pretty honest with me, and she said, look, I think it's important for you to start training with somebody here so that,
like a vocal trainer?
Yeah, like a vocal coach.
Yeah.
I was already fitness training as well at the time. And so she was like, it's important for you to get a vocal coach here so you can understand the sort of dynamicisms of what it's like to be in this industry and also how to project your voice more, but also do it in a way where it's playback ready.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So those are things that I needed to hear.
Sure.
Because, and I was very open to it. Right. I was like, oh, I'd love to meet somebody like this.
Yeah.
Because, I've had some really, really good teachers along the way. And in fact, this wasn't my first rodeo to Mumbai. Like I've had really good mentors in the past, but to have somebody long term while I was there was important to my growth as a singer. So like,
and when she says playback ready, how does that differ from like what you were doing prior to coming to India?
So it was funny because during that time when I was in the studio, at her studio, she was like, you can still record a demo and send it to a couple of music directors.
Yeah.
Looking back at that demo, I laugh now because
you've seen the growth
I've seen the growth, and honestly, I would just try to put classical in every little thing, right?
Yeah,
like I was just like, oh, now I got to show these guys how technical I can be.
Sure.
But it wasn't, I kind of realized that it wasn't really about being technical. It was all about being able to understand that every song had its own theme and own expression, and not everything had to be done technically, but rather more expressively. And so I think that was something that I had to get used to, because I was so used to being back here and adding my own things and being in my own playground, right?
Sure.
But now you're competing with other people. Right now, you're in the mecca,
and the mainstream. You have to sing in a way where people can kind of connect to that emotionally, right? And be able to kind of make it so. Yeah, sure, you can be technical and show your range and all that, but somebody has to be able to listen to it and then kind of replicate it by singing along or by feeling what the emotions of that song are. So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so I think a part of that too is you want to be able to sing so that people can relate to you, like you said, but also reach their hearts, right? And it's important that you can be a good technical singer too, but how you use that technicality is also important.
Sure.
And so I had to learn all of those things. And so when I sent this demo to music directors, I was fired up. I was like, oh, let's go. This is going to happen. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
But in reality, that's not how it works.
So how does it work? So like what does that process look like?
So yeah, there's a few things. So Monaji introduced me to Ustad Maqbool Hussain Khan Sahab. He is a very decorated music teacher, and Ustad means the best of the best, like somebody who is a master of their craft in terms of the classical side and the Bollywood side. And so, and he worked and he assisted very well-known Bollywood music directors in the past, like Naushad Saab and Pyare Lal Ji. And, so I was introduced to him. He heard me. He was, and obviously somebody of that sort of ilk is not going to teach somebody who's not serious or doesn't have the chops to do it. So the fact that he saw that in me, that meant so much to me. Like he's treated me like his son right off the bat. And, you know, in terms of the context too, like my dad at that point, and you remember this, man, Spaji, like dad was going through so many health problems.
I know his back was really bad.
His back was really bad. He was dealing with a lot of diabetes. He was taking insulin injections. And so it wasn't easy for somebody to say, hey son, let's go look at your career options, because he could have ultimately just said, that's for you to figure out. But the fact is, he came out with me to India.
Yeah.
And he did the networking. He was talking to different people. He was trying to set up meetings. He was also trying to let me do the talking so I could learn from my mistakes. You know, he's been such a valuable teacher in that sense. You know, and so I think what really, really helped in that regard was obviously having that support system there, because had I not had that, I think things would have affected me more. Like there were times where I would go to a music director's office, and again, I was adjusting emotionally to moving away, and I don't know if I was necessarily ready to sort of go into these meetings at the time. And that's one thing I would say to people is make sure you get adjusted yourself first. Make sure you have your own, you know, that's not 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of ordeal, that you're going in with this mindset of, I need to get in there, because sometimes your first impression is, I wouldn't say the lasting impression, because I think over time, what someone says doesn't necessarily define how talented you are or how much you believe in yourself.
Yeah, because maybe you're just not maybe feeling that essence of that song and not able to portray it for whatever reason. Like,
yeah, or you're just not feeling it in general.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly.
So
because you had to go through so many different demos or music directors to sing. What it's just called a demo? Is it called something else when you go to scratch? It's called a scratch.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I'll get to the scratch too, because but I was dealing with a lot of internal pain. Right?
Sure.
You know, first ever breakup. You know, getting to a place where I had no familiarity with anything.
You don't have your independence anymore.
Yeah. Well, in a sense, yeah. And so visiting India is one thing. Living there for an indefinite period of time is another.
Especially and being visually impaired.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and I was still gaining that confidence, right? Because now I'm in a Mecca where I'm questioning myself at this point. Like, am I even good enough to be here? Like,
was that just internal thoughts you were getting, or did that come from the response that the music directors were giving?
So I did get some really good response as well.
Okay.
You know, like people would hear me. Like I remember going to the sets of, I was invited to the sets of Indian Idol. My dad set up that meeting with Salim Merchant sir, Salim Suleiman sir. And I remember just sitting with him, and he was so welcoming. I think one of the nicest, genuine people that I've met. You know, and I learned a lot. My Ustadji introduced me to a lot of different people, like Pyare Lal ji, who was legendary, like just one of the best music directors of all time. You know, essentially the Quincy Jones of the Bollywood industry, right? Like played the violin, was such an exceptional arranger. And, you know, so he taught me a lot in terms of how to express, and he sat me down. He's like, you know, it's good that you can sing a lot of different things, but you have to learn how to convey it in a deeper way. And so I learned a lot of that from him. And that whole family was great. I mean, their whole family, like Pyare Lal ji is, you know, kids, sons, like grandsons, Mithun Sharma and Monty Sharma. Like, you know, Mithun has done hits like Tum Hi Ho and many, many other things. Monty Sir's, you know, obviously Savaria was such a big musical film. Like the music was such a big thing. And so introduced me to them. They helped me through a lot of different things. And yeah, so one of the things that they got me to do is start to sing scratches. So what scratches are essentially are you go into the studio and you probably aren't going to be the main singer. This is how a lot of people start off before they actually, become main singers, or if they get to that point. It requires a lot of patience. So I was singing a bunch of scratches, trying to learn how to, live singing and recording singing is so much different because in recordings, like every word has to be a certain way.
And do you get different or multiple retakes, or do you just have one and pretty much that's your chance?
Multiple retakes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they'd be like, okay, you gotta like do this word better. So I'll give you an example. So like, let's say if you're taking a song like "You Raise Me Up" by Josh Groban, right? Now, you can have dynamics like, when I am down and oh, my soul so weary, right? You can sing like that, or you can be more expressive, like, when I am down and oh, my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be. So there's like, and the my heart, there's like, it kind of has that little loudness to it, but then it goes back to that soft, right?
Sure,
so just kind of learning those things from those types of
goosebumps, man. Just every time, it never fails. Every time I hear you sing.
No, thank you, brother. I mean, it's all your guys' support, brother.
Well, you put in the work, but yeah.
So just kind of learning that. And sometimes so before the main singer even comes in, the scratch vocals might be used for the film shoot itself. So when they're shooting a film, they might scrooge to the, sorry, I'm going to start that. They might shoot to the scratch vocals, and then the main singer comes in and completes the song. And sometimes with a lot of even Hollywood songs or pop songs here, they'll get 12 different singers to come in and audition for the same song. Like The Middle is one of the biggest examples by Zed. That was sung by 12 different singers. And they settled on Maren Morris, and she did an extremely awesome job with how she portrayed and expressed that song. And she was a country singer. Oh, wow. So she was coming from country, and now she was starting to get into pop. And there was a lot of other singers that they looked at, and she was the one. So again, like there's a lot of competitiveness in this.
So you did this you guys were there before. I remember I came and visited, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But so you were doing this almost on a daily basis, right? Meeting with different, and sometimes you would show up to, like, where the music producers probably weren't always there either, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So like this was your grind pretty much on.
This was my grind.
Yeah.
Actually one of my big breaks though, I got to meet Anup Jalota ji, who's Shri Anup Jalota ji is one of the biggest devotional religious singers in India, and all over the world. Like he performs all over the world. He comes out here quite a bit as well. I was inspired by him growing up, and I got to meet through him a movie director at the time named Shekhar Sareen sir, Shekhar sir was and is one of the nicest people that I've met. He was also new. He actually heard me sing a couple lines, and he's like, "Hey, give me a call." And he was doing a film with Ashutosh Rana ji, who was in movies like Simba and many others as well. And so he was like, give me a call, and I would love to have a chat with you. And he just heard me only singing 2 lines to Anupji, because he came in at the end.
Yeah.
And so I called him, and he said, "Hey, I want you to come to this hotel. My brother and I are here. My brother is producing the film." And so we go there, and we're just sitting there, and he's like, sing me a few songs. And so I was singing to him, and right off the bat, they were like, "Okay, I think this song is going to be good." They were actually going to give it to someone else,
Really?
And so they heard
this was for their movie, right?
Yeah, and they were going to give it to a really big singer.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're going to scrap that idea. We'd love for you to sing it. And I was so humbled, like, honestly, just, you know. And so they called me in for the recording. That was my first ever Bollywood film record. I got to do a couple of songs with Monty Sir as well eventually.
Yeah. And this is the one that you did with Shaker Sreen Sir. That was Chicken Curry Law.
That was Chicken Curry Law. Yeah, exactly. And the song was
beautiful song.
Yeah, Isse Naam Do Make. I mean, it was so beautifully arranged, like the flutes and everything.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that. And
so that must have been a good, a great confidence boost, right? Because
it was really good. Yeah. And I got to see other people come in and sing too and learn from them. Like Shamali Kolgariji, she was awesome just to hear her sing. And so I was really floored by, again, like the sort of nitty gritty stuff that they looked at, like every word that I was singing. Okay, do this word a little bit louder, have this phrase be something else. And this took a lot of practice, right? Like, I started working, and in different studios, just trying to perfect my craft. Obviously I had to pay for studio time. My dad was primarily paying for all this studio time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't just a time commitment, it was a financial commitment because you guys were renting like right in the heart of kind of like downtown Mumbai, and you had like a 2-bedroom flat, right?
Yeah.
And so you're paying for rent, and then you had a personal trainer next door at the club. Yeah. Then you're having to pay for studio time, then obviously food and travel and all that. So that was a huge commitment.
And it's a lot.
So I guess getting this big break was a big moment. And
yeah, it was huge for my confidence.
Yeah.
And I will never forget this to this day. But I remember at the end, like Shaker Sir gave me a check.
Yeah.
Right?
Your first professional check.
My first professional check.
How did that feel?
Honestly, it almost brought me to tears.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because that was a milestone for me at the time, right? And it still is. I mean, you look back at all these milestones that you have, and I was so floored. I mean, his belief in me to this day has never wavered, right? He's always been somebody who has shown that willingness to give new people a chance. And he looked at me and he was like, I want to give you this chance. I mean, that to me is someone and something I will remember for the rest of my life, because obviously for where I want to get to as well, like, you carry those things with you. And that's something I've obviously learned from you guys, all of us as a family, and how much importance we take in that. I think that was so important. And
okay, so then you got your big break, and then what did it look like from there? Then did it start to kind of get harder, or were you still getting contacts made, or were you still able to get some sort of inkling that maybe there is something for me here, or were you guys just deciding to pack it up and then come back? And
yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't always be able to get a hold of people.
Right.
Sometimes people would say, come at this time, and we would go at that time, and
nobody would be there.
No one would be there. Or sometimes there'd be like, we'd be going up the stairs at Yash Raj Film Studios, and there'd be like, sorry, we can't meet today. Maybe the next 2 weeks. And then, you would try calling them. And I think one of the things I really learned from those experiences is no one's going to give you that much time. Sometimes you have to earn it too.
Sure.
And so I think that's really when I started to realize too, like, I've got to start doing my own work. And I think dad really pushed me for that too.
Yeah.
To really start composing.
Right.
Right. To really start maximizing more of my potential, right? Not coming in as just a singer, but starting to realize like music tastes and, realizing the sort of fabric of what it is like to not just be a singer, but also a composer and someone who can dive into your inner potential that sometimes we often as humans miss, right? Sometimes we go in with a singular focus, but it's like there's other things in that field that you can do to meet other people, right?
So you started composing while you were out there? Or?
I was starting to compose. I was starting to look at different things as well. Like Dad would start writing stuff.
Oh yeah.
As well, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, or, you know, I would compose when I was a child. Like I had a couple of songs like, and so, a couple of songs were on the first album that I released.
Yeah. And Dad, for those that don't know, Dad's a great lyricist, great poet.
Yeah.
And has written many of the songs that Juggy's sang. And so
exactly.
I'm sure when he was there in India, it kind of got his rhymes flowing, right? And and then I guess you started composing, and then I remember when I came in, that was close to the tail end of your guys' journey there, right?
It was close to the tail end. There was a couple of music directors who told me, one was a music director's dad. Yeah. He was actually wanting us to drive 4 hours out to their sort of like our Whistler. There's like a hill station there.
Okay, yeah.
And so he's like, why don't you come up here, 4-hour drive, and we'll hear you and stuff. But it was like, it's just too expensive, right? Because you have to invest in your own hotel, and obviously you can't stay with them.
Right, yeah.
But anyways, we met his father back in Mumbai, and he and a couple other people were like, nope, this industry is not for you. You need to go home.
Did they say why?
They just said I wasn't cut out for it. And
just based on, they wouldn't have said that based on your talent, right? So
I don't know. I don't know what it was, to be honest.
Interesting.
You know, maybe part of it is they felt like, and to be honest, like I said, I wasn't in some meetings. I know accountability obviously is a big thing. So I know that there are times where I could have also been more present in the way I sung. So sometimes those factors are there,
and that's we're human. We're not going to be 100% on our A game every single time we meet somebody, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think though, what it really showed me, there was other people who said I have the potential, just keep working at it, right? And they would give me tips, which was very helpful. Something I really responded to. But you know, someone would say something like that, oh, like you're not good enough, and then I would go out to a cafe, with the family, like Ashika and Dad, and they'd be doing like live music there, and there was this one. So after his father said that to me, that you're not cut out for this, and a very famous music director's father, by the way, I went to Blue Frog Cafe, one of the premier cafes out there, and I was just like, okay, I just want to get on the mic and sing. I don't want to think about this, and I got to meet someone else there. Big shout out to Two Blue, who was a great influence on my singing as well. Just his rock style. He was a really good range guy. Like he had such a great range. He could do Michael Jackson in his sleep. Like it was crazy. And so anyways, I was singing, and I was singing one of the songs that I wrote, and I got a standing ovation from the crowd that was there. And so I think it just kind of showed me like, okay, things might go badly for you, but it doesn't define your next move, or it doesn't define how your performance is going to go.
Right.
It doesn't define you as how you believe in yourself. And again, I was very lucky and very, very fortunate to have the support that I did from, obviously Dad, Ashika, you, Mom, and Dad and Ashika being there, knowing that I wasn't alone, knowing that they were also focused on that singular focus of making sure that I could, get somewhere. And Ashika, she took a year off school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that was the other part that, and she was actually also assisting a film director there as well. Like, so she was learning things at the same time, which were really cool. So she got to make some really cool connections. And so we were about to wrap up our journey, like you were saying, and we were reading about Saregamapa, the reality show. It was in the newspaper. There was ads everywhere that it was coming in, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you should audition. You should audition." So I originally had cold feet. A couple of reasons. My cousin was getting married, obviously, but also as equally, a lot of people won't know the story, but a few years earlier, so actually let's go back to 2009, because that was when I did my first album. And when I went to Mumbai that year, I actually got to be a part of some reality shoots. One of my Ustad Mohan Singh Ji, the late Ustad Mohan Singh Ji, he had a friend out there, Arvinder Singh Ji. So I got to meet him back in 2009. And he essentially took me to a reality shoot. He heard me sing as well. And so I was sitting there and listening to all these guys singing, like, as a part of, I think it was a Saregama shoot. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, I need to go home and practice. Like, I'm not cut out for this yet. Yeah. So I already had that realization, and I was already pretty honest with myself, because he asked me, he's like, where do you think you are? And I was like, I need to go home and practice. Yeah. And so.
And this Arvinder Singh was the singer, Arvinder Singh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
for people that don't know, what's the famous song of his?
Sab to mila ke peete hain pani sharab mein. Yeah. So, like, again, people who were always great to me and honest with me, right? Mm-hmm. So anyways, I go back to Canada. This opportunity arrives in 2012, and my voice is steadily improving. I get, I'm learning from a Western R&B, hip hop and pop teacher, Jan Cooper, who really taught me how to sing for my diaphragm. And so my voice was steadily improving. I was learning from like different gurus as well, like different things about light music. And in 2012, a reality show came calling and said, hey, we have this opportunity for you. And would you come out to Mumbai and audition? And so I went out there, and it was so eye-opening, like that experience, because we were in this place, and it was crazy. Like it was like a big room, and you would sit there for 12, 14 hours, and you would go through again, like 4 or 5 levels of auditioning, and then you would make it to the TV round. And even with that, like it was a lot of like back and forth, a lot of waiting, and having to keep your vocals in check. And I was never good at that. I didn't even know how to do any of that back then. But I managed to pass through all the audition rounds, got through the mega audition, and in fact, I got 2 standing ovations, although I still knew that I still had a lot of work to do vocally. Mm-hmm. Like I was just sitting with a lot of musicians and singers, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's so good. Oh my gosh, this girl's so good. And so when the mega audition finished and everyone was like, oh wow, you just got selected, there were things that happened, a lot of politics behind the scenes. And
this was in 2012, right? The first edition.
Yeah. And so the people that were selected for the top 15, some of them, including myself, were cut. So they actually didn't even show our performances on TV. So our performances were cut.
And you weren't told about that until after you saw the episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were waiting, and they were like, yeah, we're going to have to cut this person, we're going to have to cut that person, and we're going to bring this person in place. There was, I mean, and again, so this wasn't this wasn't necessarily on the director of the show. There was a lot of internal things going on.
Sure. So you had some Right. You rightfully were feeling kind of apprehensive about trying again.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And
so what changed
I felt
your
like
mind?
the environment, and again too in that show specifically.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what show it was, but it was a very dysfunctional environment. Like everyone was sort of trying to compete against each other,
right?
As opposed to competing with themselves. You know, and encouraging one another. And, you know, back in 2012 too, like they looked at this guy coming from Canada, like, oh, what does he know? And I remember this specific moment in that show though, where one of the Gurujis was like, you know, I don't know if anyone can tell me these notes that I'm going to play. I'm going to play a key, and anyone who can tell me, you know, go for it. And so one of the other Gurujis, he actually heard me do this before because he had done this at another rehearsal beforehand. And so he's like, oh, Juggy can do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's putting me on the spot in front of one of the most prolific teachers. And so anyways, he started playing keys and I started naming all of them. He started playing chords. I started naming all of them. And I think that's where I started to gain that respect from other contestants as well. But again, I just didn't know how anything would be different the second time around. You know, going back to this environment, to a different show in a different setting, but was it actually going to be different?
Yeah, because I remember when I came and I before I flew down, I talked to Dad guys and they said that you were going to go, and I think you had just given an audition. And then when I got there, you had made it past a couple of rounds already.
Yeah.
Right. So you were kind of in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And then I remember when I got there, you were already at the what audition was that when I went?
So that was in 2016. Yeah. So when you got there in 2016, that's when I think we actually even surprised you. I don't even think we told you that I went in for the TV audition or the auditions at all.
I remember you guys were talking about it, but when I got there, you guys had just finished the TV audition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We had just finished the TV audition.
And that meant what again?
So that was after a lot of levels of auditioning that I had to go through. I had to sing different songs.
And I remember the total number was like 180,000 people or something.
180,000 people who auditioned. 150 to 180,000.
Yeah.
You know, from all over India, but all over different parts of the world.
Exactly, yeah.
And so eventually, you know, Dad was, you know, and again, Dad's a very practical person. And he was like, every experience is not always going to be the same. And, you know, you got through 2012 and you still got standing ovations regardless. Like from big people like Shankar Mahadevanji was one of the biggest inspirations for me growing up. And so to get a standing ovation from him back in 2012, I think that really showed me that you know, my dad's right. And again, he was there with me the whole time back in 2012 as well, right? So we went in and we're like, okay, we're going to take this chance and get to the TV round. And I sang O Saiya, a song from Agnipath, a film, you know, that was really well done, but also the music was amazing and one of my favorite songs. And I think people, you know, were really touched by, I was so humbled by that, you know, just to see the standing ovation and to get a full 100% marks. And we had 30 jury members that were judging the competition.
Yeah, this was never done before, right? So you had your 4 judges panel, the 4 singers, music directors, and then on the left side of the stage, you had 30 other jury members that would give you a percentage.
Exactly.
So that was...
And I used to get pretty starstruck back then. Like I was like, "Oh, Ash King's in the jury! No way!"
Yeah,
like
I was really excited to meet him too.
Like, oh, no way! And he came up to me after. He's like, "You know, that was such a great performance." Like just to hear that from somebody you've looked up to, right?
So he just say it like that. He's like, "That was such a great performance, bro."
The phonetics. No, he was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and I could tell right off the bat though that this was a different group of people. And
even when it came to the contestants too?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think just going through that rejection, but then getting to that place where, you know, like Pritham Da, again, another person who's made major hits within the Bollywood industry.
So let's just go over that. So that year, it was Mika Singh was one of the judges.
Mika Baji,
Pritham.
Pritham Da,
and then
Sajid Sir, and the late Vajit Sir.
And the late Vajit Sir, yeah.
Yeah. And I was so lucky to be a part of Sajid Sir and Vajit Sir's team going forward in the show. And so the audition round happens, and we get to the mega audition.
So mega auditions is, you get cut down to how many people? 50?
I think we were, about 24 to 50.
Okay.
At the time. I don't remember the exact number.
I think it was, you were in the top 50 when I got there.
Yeah. So I was, so then I did the mega audition round. I sang Abhi Mujh Mein Kahin.
Yeah.
And they had this like medal, for direct entry. So after your mega audition performance is done, they send you backstage and like, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
And that process was so long, right? Like, you're again, 15, 16 hours, like you have to be ready at all times to sing. And so because I've had this experience in the past of auditioning and stuff, I was already in that space where I'm like, okay, I have to make sure my vocals are warm every couple of hours. And I kept listening to the same song over and over again, the song that I was going to sing, so I could still stay in that essence, and not sing too much, right? Because the more you sing during that time, before you perform, the more your voice gets tired. For me, anyway, that was something that your energy just goes down naturally. So I just knew like I had to be in the moment, but I also had to make sure I took care of my voice. And so after the mega audition performance was done, I was so humbled to get another standing ovation. Like it was, I never expected any of this. I never expected, to be in the mega audition in the first place, let alone be in the TV rounds. And I think, obviously, like you were there too, and I think y'all were also getting pretty emotional. They gave me the medal right away, so I got direct entry. I didn't even have to like.
Yeah, I remember seeing that live, and they had Dad and Ashi on the big screen because, a part of a show like this, when we kind of got to learn more about it, is they do like behind the scenes shooting. What was that called? The
reality shoots.
Reality shoots, but like they called it something, right? I can't remember the term.
I can't. Yeah.
But anyways, like when contestants would come back, they'd like, the stuff you see on TV where their contestants are talking about their experience and all that. So that was kind of like a side shoot that they would do. And I know they had Ashi and Dad on the screen, and I could see Dad crying because it was such a proud moment for us all, right? Like, because I remember hearing that you guys were going to come back. Like when I just came to visit for a couple of weeks after one of my exams, and I was like, cool, like we'll spend a couple of weeks together and then we'll come back home. But to see that moment transpire and be there live for it, kind of, it was like all the hard work that you guys have all done for the entire year, the time commitment, the financial commitment, the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, and that was a year later too.
Yeah, exactly. It was almost a year later. Almost exactly a year later. And to see that, to be like, okay, Juggy's been, you cemented your position on the show and got direct entry, like that was such an amazing feeling. Like I think for everybody as a family, we were just like, wow, okay, like everything that we did this entire year was all worth it, and
and I mean, again, it was all the support from you guys. It was it was obviously, I had to also make sure that I put in the hours, but just having that feeling of, after all of that, after hearing that you're no good, but then sticking to your process and being around people who are also talented, that told you that you had the potential and that were still guiding you, that, loved you. Like I had a lot of Gurujis during that time, like Ustad Ji, Ustad Maqbul Khan Saab and Dhananjay Sir and Surpal Sir, all these gurus that were always saying, no, you have it in you, like just keep going, and we're here to support you. So
And I think proving people right. I think, growing up, you always heard prove people wrong, prove people wrong. And honestly, I think when that kind of changed for me, and I'm sure you're kind of on the same boat now, is instead of proving people wrong in life, prove the people right.
Exactly.
You prove the people that have been supporting you and have been telling you and encouraging you. And the fact that you were able to do that by, sticking to it and persevering, like that's just such an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And then, like seeing you get onto the show. So now you're a part of was it the top 15 or the top
12?
Top 12, yeah.
Yeah. So top 12 out of 150,000 people.
Crazy.
Like, I was floored. Like, I was like, the fact that I'm even here, like, I'm a winner.
Yeah, 100%. For sure. That was just highlighting the top 12 for the rest of because I remember then Dad and Ashi had to come back, and then we were actually thinking about, okay, so who's going to stay with you? Because then that was another thing too, right?
Oh yeah.
Then it was
that's something to talk about,
right? Like okay, Jackie's going to be on the show, and we were told it was going to be at least 6 to 8 months commitment that you had to be there.
Yeah, and they extended it because the show was really good.
Yeah, it got great ratings, and then they're like, okay, well, why don't we just add on to it? But so I remember, I had just finished my exam, and then I was like, Dad, like a year back's, obviously not cooperating. You should probably go back. You've been here for a year. The least I could do is be here with Juggy and kind of help and advocate and see how, just support him so see how far he can go.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
No, of course.
You also took your time off too.
Well,
you had to study.
Yeah, but I mean, this was something we used to dream about growing up. Like, we used to watch this show growing up.
Yeah. And I was down to stay on my own, but the fact that you actually stayed was really special.
And I remember we entertained that idea too. We were like, okay, well, if we were to stay here, what would that look like? And I don't think anybody, any one of us were comfortable with that. But no, it was cool because I remember the whole process now is, okay, you're on this show, you're in Film City, right?
Yeah.
Like we were just outside of Film City. So this is where like all the shows are shot, movies are shot.
Yeah.
ZTV was the one that was making the show at that time. They had their own bungalows, right? So we stayed at the ZTV bungalows. Right in the heart of Mumbai and Film City, and that was a cool experience too, right? So
yeah, because we've seen shoots there before, but to be a part of one of the shows there
and like just
next to like Kapil Sharma's like comedy nights, like
exactly.
that was cool, man.
And they had another show that was really big. It was that cricket one, right?
Box Cricket
League. Yeah, that's right. We used to see those guys walk in and out all the time.
Yeah,
but like I guess what I was trying to just come back to was just that whole setup was so neat because now you're a part of this crew, this team, and to see how everything functions on a TV show like that, like down to what you guys were eating. Yeah. You had your own chef, so your breakfast, lunch, and dinner was really regimented. Like you had to eat certain things because you guys couldn't afford for your voices to be off.
No,
if you ate something wrong. But I remember
it's a big production.
I remember you got tired of the food, and I used to sneak you in some KFC chicken burgers. But that was because I was able to leave and do that. But no, it was such a cool experience.
We had our sneak outs with the crew too, and go down to the lounge, right?
Yeah. And then even alluding to the contestants, you were right. Like we had a great group of people like Kushal, Jyotika, Rupali, Harjo, like Sanjuti, Ashmita, like Zubair and Tanvir,
Ashmat Sultana.
So like such a cool group, right? And they really all welcomed you. And I think for me that was so touching, like to see people really embrace because you were the only non-Indian born contestant on the show.
Yeah.
Right? So you were kind of the outsider coming in, but everybody embraced you because they recognized your talent. They recognized, okay, this guy's actually put in years and years and hours, endless amount of time into his craft, and he deserves to be here. And the craziest thing for me, because so the way it would work is, they used to shoot was it the Thursday and Friday was the shoot?
Yeah. Prior
to that, every contestant got a song that they were going to sing, right?
Yeah.
Usually it was 1 or 2 songs. They were like, okay, go prepare these 1 or 2 songs. You have X amount of hours, like 6 hours, 8 hours or whatever. Yeah. Then you had morning practice with your gurus, right? Yeah. And then you run through your songs and they'll see, okay, they'll teach you how to sing certain things a certain way. But you, because they don't have Braille in Hindi or the, you know, Sanskrit language, you had to memorize multiple songs because they would change it on you sometimes too, right?
Yeah, we would all have that done to us, right?
But the other contestants had pieces of paper that they would just read off of, and for them it wasn't an issue. But for you, now you're coming into Thursday, which was their pre-shoot, right?
And sometimes they would get like a different song Wednesday night.
Exactly.
Like, go prepare this.
And then you had to practice with the band for the prior to the pre-shoot, and then they changed the song. So for me, it was just so humbling. Like, I get humbled every single day when I'm around you. Like, you know, just seeing the way you interact with your day-to-day, you know, with other people, and just walking and little things that we take for granted as sighted people, and to see the struggle sometimes too, because it was, right? Because then now we're trying to find, okay, how do we get the lyrics to this song? Or then having somebody, you know, tell you the meaning of the lyrics as well, right? Because then that was the only way you were going to feel the song. Like, it was such a eye-opening and humbling experience.
Like, one of the reality show lessons 101 is make sure. I was still pretty lucky that I knew a lot of the songs because we grew up with Bollywood, right? But make sure that before you come in to a reality show experience that you have tons of songs ready. Right off the bat. Because there are theme nights, there are actor nights when actors will come in and you have to sing their type of songs. There'll be classical nights where you have to be more classical. Like, you have to make sure that all those boxes are ticked. And checked. And so I think that was the biggest thing. I think one of the really cool things about our show too is, you know how they talk about, you know, the state's election in 2016, how it was like the Twitter election? And so I feel like our show was like the Twitter reality show. Almost, right?
It blew up on Twitter.
Like the social, like, they hit the nail on the head. With how they promoted it on social media. We had like social media people that came in that taught us how to interact with fans.
What was some of the, I mean, I remember for the first time when the first actor came on, that was Shah Rukh Khan, and seeing how everything's kind of set up. You know, they come in with their bodyguards, their entourage, and then he has his own kind of green room area in the back. And then for him to come on and interact with you, and you're able to sing, you know, one of his songs, and then
Kalhona, one of my favorites.
Exactly. And then, you know, I think he asked you a question of like your coffee dates was brought up, right?
So you actually bring up something really interesting there. Because people have to understand that reality shows nowadays, especially, it's not just about music. And you cannot make it about music now. Just about music, I mean. Like, music is obviously a huge part of it when it comes to music reality shows. But what also has to happen is you have to understand the business aspect of it. And the business aspect of it is, how can people relate to the people on the show? So when people ask me, is it scripted, like, you know, all these play date or coffee dates that they talk about, it's exaggerated for sure, but everyone has had on the show, which was really cool, that there was this you know, part about the show where everyone had their own personality right off the bat. Like, Jyotika was an exceptional performer, Rupali, exceptional performer, but she had her own personality. Kushal, the rock star, you know? So everyone came in having this sort of personality that people could relate to. And so the business aspect of it is, you have to make sure that all the contestants on the show have something that people can relate to, whether it's their personality or whether it's them as a character, because those things are so important. In today's day and
at the end of the day, people need to watch for a reason. Obviously, the talent is all real. People that are singing, or the scores that the judges are giving you are all real.
And there's no takes. Like, it's just one take and it's done. Like,
exactly. You know, so, but they have to have something that the common person watching the show could connect to. Right. So,
and our shoots would go on for a long time. Like, sometimes we'd be there for 24 hours.
Because you had your pre-shoot. You had your pre-shoot, which went through the entire thing. You had costumes. clothes. You have to like your different outfits that you were going to wear.
Makeup
And everything had to be done the pre-shoot day, which is like a regular shoot, a 12-16 hour day, and then you had like a few hours to sleep. Then you had to come back for the actual shoot day.
Yeah.
And be on site for another 16 hours, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Very, very cool experience. And then
yeah, so like it was really cool to experience all of it. And I think that what it really taught me was how to be present in the moment. Through it all.
But just during the show too, like you got so many standing ovations. Like the judges loved you. Like I think you had the most. Like the singer of the night, or I forget how they phrased that.
Performer of the day.
Performer of the day. Yeah, like you had like six or seven of those.
Yeah. And like for people, you would only see an hour of it each night, right? Saturday, Sunday, you would only see an hour of it. But
being there live to witness the actual, true, genuine reactions of the crowd and the judges. And I remember because the most heart-touching episode, I mean, apart from all the actors and all the cool things, I remember Aishwarya Rai, you gave her a flower, went down on one knee and proposed to her. Quite jealous sitting there, me. Because in person, she's, obviously, she's just...
she's gorgeous.
Well, and she's got a great personality, and I remember her husband Abhishek was pulling your leg too for flirting with her. But I think one of the most touching performances or nights was when they called mom and dad back. Yeah, and mom and dad got to come back to India and to see you. So I like for them to
they got to
for them to I know they were watching from Vancouver and sorry from Delta and watching you every night, and we would talk to them every day and all that, but for them to actually come and see the stardom that you had achieved, that was a really emotional episode for us all. Yeah. And then coming to going to Goa for the finale, and you're on this huge stage and singing with
Arman Malik.
And mom was
there. And I
there.
learned so much from that experience.
Yeah, and our families were there. Our cousins were there, and Nani was, there, and
then the Salman Khan sir coming especially to meet me on set.
Like one of the greatest moments I've ever witnessed. I remember this is so when Salman Khan came and visited Juggy, we were doing one of the rehearsals, and he was next door. We all knew that he was next door doing some shoot or something, right? And we didn't know, like you never get a chance to get close to somebody like that. They have so many bodyguards. Anyway, so I'm standing on stage. Like I used to love recording you and like taking pictures or whatever. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I get pushed off the stage, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, and then I turn around, and there's like these like 8 huge, like 6'4", just jacked bodyguards, and they kind of making way. And then you see Salman Khan come all the way up right to where you were singing, and give you a huge hug. And I remember you first didn't believe that it was him, right? Like you were just like,
oh man, I was like maybe my friends are playing a prank, because they knew, like the contestants knew, like I was a big fan.
Yeah, and then for him to say like I'm such a big fan, and my mom,
watches the show. Yeah, she loves you. Like I was like, what? No way! Like
that was one of the most memorable moments, I think.
And Asha Tai, who's like, who would she be? Like who could we compare to? Like
Asha Tai?
Asha Tai would be like the Madonna of the industry, maybe.
Maybe not Madonna.
No.
But somebody bigger than that.
Yeah. Like she was the legend that started Bollywood music. Yeah. Literally her and Lata Tai. Like they were like the legends, and to get a standing ovation from her, singing her husband's song, like one of her husband's songs, that was amazing. And then being able to talk to Lata Mangeshkar Tai, before she passed away, that was a huge a feather in the cap to have. Our show honestly was after, I think, so 2007 and 2016 were, I think, both 2 of the most successful shows, in my opinion. And
I think your year was the one.
Yeah.
I think that was the highest ratings they ever got, and just the response.
The votes were crazy.
Everything.
We're doing the grand finale in Goa in the off season, and hotels are jacking up their prices because like people are coming. I remember like we used to go for the press conferences. Like we would fly out, like you and I.
Yeah, and I remember just the airports would be packed of your fans, and I've never seen that before. You know, like somebody that's so close to me, and you're my brother, and just people just smothering you with their love and you know, admiration, and they just adored you. And you used to have, you know, we had bodyguards like keeping people away so we can get through to get to the car. And very, very, very cool experience. And I guess just to kind of wrap things up, like what are your top things that you would tell people if they wanted to do something like that? What should they kind of that's look out for?
That's a really, really good question. So I'll try to sum it up the best I can. First things first, if you're going to be a part of a reality show, you have to understand that you're probably not going to have many sleeping nights. You're probably going to be doing a lot of shoots, a lot of radio interviews, a lot of press, a lot of fan interacting. You know, our show was crazy in terms of like we had posters of all of us everywhere.
Oh yeah, billboards on the highways and everything. Yeah.
So when you come in, always make sure that you're all warmed up. In terms of, you know, keeping your vocals, taking care of them, making sure you're not, you know, eating things that are going to harm that, you know, fried, all those things. Don't have too much ice stuff like slushies or anything like that. You know, so taking care of your health is a first and foremost thing. I know that I got sick, especially towards the sort of the end of the show, which did affect some of my performances. So
getting 7 performers the other day, I think you're fine.
But you know, it taught me a lot too, right? Like how to use that rest to my maximum potential. You know, and so I think there's that. I also think if you're a kid, like you're 5 or 6 years old, do not participate in reality shows, in my opinion, because I think there's a lot of things that you go through. I think there's too much pressure that's placed on you. You know, I remember going to, you know, after our reality show was done, we got to perform on the kids side of things. Mm-hmm. And I heard a mentor say to a kid, "You're taking this too casually." And the problem with that is
that's a really good point. I mean, you're so young. You want to explore. You want to. Life should be about play at that age.
Life should be about play, but life also, you know, you have to understand that all these kids are going. You know, they just came back from a shoot in Delhi where they're performing for the Prime Minister.
Yeah,
and they were there. They were up for like 12, 13 hours. Then they're coming in. Then they're singing for a shoot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a really good point.
That's just my point. And I think then the parents put a lot of pressure on their kids. I just don't, and you know, I just don't understand the sort of thing where why are we putting all these kids on pedestals right from the start, you know, where it's, I'm going to go and bow down and touch your feet. You know, wow, you're like you know, you're a legend. You're an ustad. You're 6 or 7 years old, and you're like, you know, you're God. And I just don't, you know, I don't see the point in doing that, because after the kid gets off the show, and we've seen this. In fact, Azmat Hussain, who was, you know, in one of the shows, tried to come back, but he talked about his drug addiction because, you know, he went through all of this, and he was like, you know, I wasn't getting the attention anymore. Like you know, and so that was really tough. And so what I would say to that is, after the reality show, I think it's very important to realize a couple of things. Now especially now, with social media and how big it is, how you can brand yourself, getting a team together to do that and do that with you. And a team doesn't mean like a professional team. It could be a team of friends. It could be, your confidants, your support system, the connections that you build. Because a reality show can take you to stardom, but then it's also up to us and in some ways it's up to us. For me, I was pulled into a contract after the show or during the show that I had to sign. Like I had no choice but to sign.
Yeah.
But they made a lot of hefty promises that didn't keep. Like they were gonna.
I remember that. We could only perform at places that they had designated, and then they took a big cut. And
And there was a lot of politics where a few of us were supposed to get shows, but they gave it to other people.
Right.
And we found that out.
So that's really another great point to kind of be aware of. Maybe don't sign a contract, or if you're going to go into a show, tell them that, hey, like after the show is over, you don't have my rights. Or don't go into a show that would.
Or at least structure the contract so you do have some say.
Yeah.
Because that's what really. For those 3 years, like I was invited by, big singers to go on tour with them.
But because
of this contract, I could not. So it did put a damper in things. And then I was also, I think after a show like that, where you achieve a lot, I was in a situation where I started to really feel things internally in terms of like, oh, now I have to be a constant good person or a constant role model, or this sort of like thing like that. And so I think I was struggling with internal boundaries of giving too much to certain things and not having enough time to sort of evolve myself. And I think we all kind of go through that struggle too. And especially when things aren't happening the way that, they're supposed to happen. You find yourself in this place of how do I maximize who I am? And I think one of the things I did learn from that though is, okay, now that I've established a reality show experience, I did get to perform at some big events, which I had to kind of fight to perform at, like being the delegate of Canada, for the Navy ship that came in from Victoria, British Columbia to Mumbai. So that was really cool, being part of the FICCI Frames, the Film India Commerce Association, being a delegate there. So whatever events I did get to do, although they were few and far between, and the fans I got to interact with, like I will always remember that. And then obviously, we tried to fight certain things. We tried to get through certain things. 2019 rolls around, contract's about to end, and then COVID happens. So all through that, I think the biggest thing I could tell people is use social media, use it to your advantage. Who do you want to be? What do you want your sound to be? And don't always rely on, oh, now that I'm at the pinnacle of this reality show that I'm going to start getting work left, right, and center, because that's not how it works. Sometimes you have to, make sure that you can get your own work, and the way you do that is finding your own purpose and your own work and what you want your sound to be, because I think our potential is really limitless.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And for anybody that's watched the Avicii documentary, just bring it up because it kind of alludes to what you're saying is, he kind of got lost in the sauce, in the sense of he wasn't able to kind of do what he wanted, the music that he wanted to make. And it was mostly forced on him to become this mainstream artist, do multiple shows on multiple, shows a night. And he kind of lost himself there. And that was really unfortunate because he was just a very uber talented music producer, and he had so many great ideas. So, just to kind of end the show off, I think that's a really good point, Juggy. And thank you for being such an inspiration to millions of people. Because I know till this day, people that have watched this show and remember you, they were so inspired and continue to be inspired. So what an amazing experience. And
totally appreciate everyone's support. And remember that No experience or no bad experience defines you. Never let success get to your head and failure get to your heart. I think that's one of the biggest things that you can take. I would say too that after the reality show, even if you get out of a contract, it doesn't mean that things are over for you, you know?
They're just beginning.
They're just beginning.
Yeah.
It's your journey, and you can make what you want to make of it. No one can stop you from doing that. So keep, I know a lot of people will go into depression after they get off the show. I was very lucky. I still felt those things too. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, of course, like when you're going through these tough things, and in some way I've had to start over myself, but at least I get to control the creative process with my family, with you guys, at my side. And so be sure to use those support systems. And it's not over for you. Ageism is not a thing anymore. The biggest DJs in the world are like 53 years old. David Guetta, Diplo, like all these guys are still going hard at it. So it's about making a song that just, resonates with you. That will resonate with people when they see that you're resonating with it, when they see that, and it's important to honor our pain through the, experiences that we have. So without further ado, I just want to thank all of you guys for watching. We'll obviously have more talks and a lot more things coming up. And Manny, thanks for joining again, brother. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, you bet, man. Thanks for having me again.
I wanted to add for the cameras stuff. I was on Spotify earlier, and I came across this guy named Jugpreet Bajwa. I thought his music was pretty good.
Thanks, man.
And that's a wrap.
And that's a wrap, baby.
The time has come to share your thoughts. Relive your moments. Open up your heart with one and only Rhythm and Remedy.